Hey, g'day, ladies. Today I want to tackle something that I hear constantly. And Jane, one of our community members, she has put this really, really well. She said her biggest challenge is finding time in her very busy schedule to get it done. So she doesn't have time to think about preparing healthy meals. She doesn't have time to think about exercising. Life is just so hectic. And I'm sure that you may have been there, or maybe it's something that you've said. I know that I've said it too, as well. And so, what I want to think about is when we don't have time, or when we say those words, we don't have time, it can often mean something very different. It could mean that I don't have the energy, or it could mean it's just not a priority for me right now. And so I want to explore some ways that we might think about movement in a different way. So, firstly, I want to start by unpacking this no time story. So, look, I'm just going to say this, and it might ruffle a few feathers. We all have 24 hours in a day. That's it. We all have the same amount of time. And you might be thinking right now, well, I've got a really busy job. I've got a family, a growing family that I'm running here and there, and I really don't have time to think about anything else. And so, and you might also be thinking, I don't know that. And it's very true. I do not know what you actually have on your schedule. Just like you probably aren't aware what I have on my schedule as well. So I run a business. I've got a team of people. I live on a farm, so there's always farm jobs to do. Now raising two grandchildren in my 60s. And so, I've started the school cycle and, packing lunches again and all of those types of things. And so it's taken a lot for me to think about how do I fit these so many things into my daily life, because I know that my health, my well-being is important to me. And now that I have two young children with me, if I want to be able to support them into their adulthood, I really have to buckle down and focus on my well-being. And I really do need to make it a priority. And so it's not about finding more time because, as I said, we all have the same amount of time. There's 24 hours in a day. So what we want to do is we want to think about maybe using the time that we have differently, maybe making our movement matter more to us and what we do, and possibly even finding ways to move that fit with our life. So today itself, I've got a really, really hectic day. I'm trying to get recordings done. I've got to make a lot of phone calls for things to follow up for the grandkiddos. Um, there are lessons after school that I've got to get them to. And so by the time I get home, it's late. So I'm starting to think, how am I going to get dinner in? And so what I personally do is I use my oven and I use my slow cooker a lot. And so those things are going for me whilst I'm doing this. And so I'm just thinking about how am I using my time and how can I do it differently? And so, and when we think about that other aspect of maybe it's not a priority for you right now or me right now, that can be so true as well too. And maybe we just need to accept that. If it's not a priority, then it's okay to say it's not a priority. But I want you to think about this. If I told you that there was $1 million waiting for you at the gym, would it become a priority for you then? Possibly, yes. And so it's just saying, well, what is it that's driving me to get this done? I want to explore this energy versus time concept though, because often this I don't have time can fit into I really don't have the energy because I might actually be tired. So I'm just burning the candle at both ends. Or maybe I'm just mentally drained and I just don't have the bandwidth to think about it. I could be totally overwhelmed with all those commitments that I have in my life. And maybe, just maybe, I'm not even sure that it's going to be worth it. And so understanding this difference between energy, that energy reason, as opposed to the time reason, certainly helps us flip that switch a little bit. And it allows us to adapt the movement to fit with what our life is really about. And so often what we want to do is we want to just really just scale it back a lot, right? Take it back to the smallest pieces that you possibly can, because these smallest pieces can often have that biggest impact. And we often think that exercise, we have to contribute, we have to give up so much of our day that it has to be this biggest chunk of time. And it doesn't really need to be that. So if you think about you have your meals and maybe you go and have a little snack in between those meals. So maybe, just maybe, what we want to do is think about these movement snacks. So, as an example, you might be someone who gets a smile on their face when you dance. So, when you flip that switch on that kettle to boil for your tea or coffee, maybe you just dance around a little bit, put some music on, and just change that energy flow in your body. And here's the thing about the kettle, it can take, depending on the kettle you've got, it can take 2 to 3 minutes. Like, that's massive, right? You could have a huge dance party, 2 to 3 minutes. Or maybe when you're just simply brushing your teeth. I love brushing my teeth, right? And it's such a great one that everybody can relate to because we all brush our teeth. So you might do calf raises if you want to get those nice looking calves, or maybe your balance is a little bit off. And maybe you're going to stand on one leg whilst you brush your teeth. And maybe you might even try a different hand as well too, because maybe you've noticed that the coordination is going a little bit. Or you could try squats, right? Squats while you're watching TV, or squats whilst you're watching those TV commercials. Who seriously wants to actually sit and watch TV commercials? Nobody wants to do that. And if you think about the amount of time you've got in that window, that's a fairly decent time that you could actually even pick up a set of weights. You could do some deadlifts and some rows. You could do some squats and some shoulder presses. So all of those nice compound exercises that are working multiple muscles, multiple joints, and, just give you so much bang for your buck that you could get these little tiny workouts done throughout the day. And if you think about it, they can really, really add up. Now, here's one of my favorites. Every time I get a phone call, I walk and talk. Now, and sometimes I've got up to 8,000 steps on one single phone call. So I've definitely got a lot of movement in when I've been doing that. And so what we're looking at here is thinking about, what am I doing throughout the day? Where can I include movement into those actions? what about the bathroom? Every time we run to the bathroom, maybe we could do squats and push-ups. Maybe we could do pencil jumps. Who knows? The choice is yours. That's the thing. But remember, you don't have to go all in on it. It's just about getting that little bit of movement into your day. So I want to share a story about Elizabeth, one of our members. And look, Elizabeth has so much going on. She works full-time in aged care. She also is the full-time carer for her declining mum and dad. And so her stress levels are absolutely like through the roof. And when we first started talking, it was like, that's the thing that we've got to work on, is we've got to get that stress. We've got to find a way to cope with that. And really, movement is just one of those things that can really, really help with stress, because it changes that overall energy and that physiology in our body. And so the first thing that we did was we talked about, what do you do in a day? And let's explore how those things that you're doing in a day, we can tack something onto it. Okay. And so when she's outside feeding her dog, she's got a nice little step there, and she does a series of step ups while she's out there. And so we just started with these small actions. So when she was making her meals, what she was doing is starting to do some wall push-ups. So she would just get there, and she learned the technique of actually getting her chest in, rather than, putting herself at risk. She got some help with it. And so over time, what's happened is she's built up these little snack breaks, and she's moving a lot more throughout the day. But what she then did was she started to be able to find a window of time where she could do a quick PT session. And so what we did was we took some of these things that she had been learning and brought them into let's just call it a life happens workout plan for her, so that when she did have those bigger windows, maybe 10 minutes, that she was able to do something just that little bit more. So the next part of this then is to think about your peak times. So when do you have your highest level of energy? This can be a real game changer for you, because look, there's no point you organizing a workout for yourself at like 5 a.m. or 6 a.m. if you're the person who's up all night, right? Because if you're the person who's up all night, then what's going to happen is that you're just simply not going to have the energy to get out of bed. So it's about identifying what your natural energy patterns are and working with your body's rhythm. And you want to choose these movements that match your energy level. And you want to build this energy through some type of strategic movement that actually works for you. And so if you start to think about it, these small movements that you do throughout the day, and if you do them consistently, they're going to pay off like big time for you. You're going to see results. It's like having compound interest on your health. So that 5 minutes of movement done regularly is worth more than your 1 hour long workout that you never actually get to. Now, I like to wrap up each of these sessions with a move moment. And so what today's move moment is, it's a bit of a mouthful, is I'm going to call it the time finder. And so here's what I want you to do. Stand up And for the next 60 seconds, I just want you to simply march like you did when you were at school, arms pumping, legs pumping. And while you're marching, call out 3 activities that you do regularly each and every day, like brushing your teeth, making a cup of tea or coffee, or watching TV. And so what I want you to think about is how can you add, for example, this march in place into those activities that you do. Okay. So it's about you finding those 3 really good times for you throughout the day where you can add the movement that's going to be right for you. So let's call them movement anchors, shall we? And so what we're doing is we are adding a movement break into something that you already do. So can you do that for me? I really do hope so. Okay. So what I want you to do is to think about this. It's just a myth that we need these huge chunks of time to stay active. We can take these movement breaks throughout the day. Now, I'm not going, you shouldn't be doing a workout, because I would love for you to be able to do a workout as well too. But what I also want you to do is to at least get started. And we're going to do that through this movement snacking. So what I want you to do is to get started, find that 1 minute of movement and where you're attaching it to. So what is the anchor for you? And I want you to share those wins in our Facebook group. So Women Over 50, Get Active and Healthy. And I want you to hashtag it Ageless Movement. Can you do that for me? So here's what we're going to talk about next week. We're going to talk about adapting movement for different physical conditions and energy levels. So this is going to be a really, really exciting one. I hope you'll join me. I hope you enjoyed today's exercise. Don't forget to go and post up what you're doing and hashtag it Ageless Movement, because I really do want all of us women over the age of 50 to feel confident in ourselves, to be able to embrace whatever age we are, and be able to simply just be able to go through these years doing the things that we love for as long as we want. All right, so take care, everybody. Hope you enjoyed today's episode, and I'll see you soon. Okay, see you soon. Bye for now.